but one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
On social media, you may have seen this clip of a penguin waddling towards the mountains. This penguin meme is from Werner Herzog's Encounters at the End of the World. Although the documentary wasn't about penguins per se, many felt inspired and related to that little penguin as it waddled towards the mountains and away from its community. Some found deeper meaning in this curious phenomenon, while others suggest a much more mundane reason for the penguin's peculiar behavior. Regardless of one's position, this disagreement over a penguin reveals a divergence in perspective in modern society. A sort of Rorschach test, if you will. From a survival standpoint, it makes no sense for a penguin to turn away from its colony, away from its source of food and protection, just to wander off to the mountains. Especially when you consider that penguins live along the coast. Many netizens assume that the penguin must be pursuing some higher goal, projecting higher human motivations to the bird. However, experts suggest that the penguin does not have such human motivations. Rather, the penguin is just an animal following its survival instincts. The fact that the penguin is engaging in such self-destructive behavior indicates that the penguin must suffer from some neurologic disorder. From this survival standpoint, the penguin is completely irrational and must be ill. Certainly not something anyone with any sense would admire. Interestingly, there appears to be a partisan divide among those who admire the penguin and those who pity the penguin. Left-leaning individuals may interpret the penguin's behavior as disordered and irrational, since it goes against the penguin's survival instincts. From that perspective, it seems that anyone who admires such foolishness must be as ignorant and as irrational as the penguin. Right-wingers, however, seem to admire the penguin despite its counterintuitive behavior. The fact that the penguin is willing to give up physical safety to pursue some great endeavor suggests some form of courage and nobility, a faith in something greater than creature comforts. Perhaps it doesn't matter why the penguin did what it did. People don't relate to the penguin because it's human, but because it symbolically reminds us that there is more to life than just following survival instincts. The fact that a bird is capable of going against its programming reminds us of our own capacity for self-control and mastery. The iconic image of the tiny penguin waddling across the desolate, unforgiving landscape against the backdrop of massive, imposing mountains reinforces just how small and insignificant that penguin is compared to the endeavor it is embarking upon. The penguin seems hopelessly small compared to the task it has chosen to fulfill, yet it inspires us nonetheless. It represents the drive to seek something greater than the mere creature comforts which have become the primary driver of modern hedonistic culture. Our expectations of convenience, comfort, and instant gratification have numbed us to an essential part of life. People want more than just routines that keep them fed but trapped in comfortable mediocrity. Although remaining in one's comfort zone feels safe, it also prevents one from fully knowing oneself. You must leave your comfort zone and expose yourself to the wilderness of the unknown to truly understand and grow as a person. However, this penguin story can be found throughout history and literature. It's the theme of facing death to pursue a higher calling, for death is the greatest fear among humans and animals. To conquer death is to conquer the ultimate existential dread, which stands in the way of our highest potential. In the Bible, Christ left the life of carpentry at 30 to test himself in the wilderness for 40 days, without food, water, or shelter, with only his conscience and the devil to keep him company. The devil tried to tempt him to give in to his human desire for safety and comfort, yet he resisted by keeping his aim focused on the divine. Only after passing the test did he begin his ministry, which ended with his foretold death, a death that fulfilled his divine purpose, while turning him into the most influential person in all of history. In J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, Theoden and his Riders of Rohan rode to battle to confront the massive army of Sauron. But despite being badly outnumbered and exhausted from their journey, they mustered all the physical and mental strength they had to confront evil. In a bold declaration of defiance against mortality itself, Theoden stirred his army by chanting death. To most observers, this chant would seem bizarre, but to Theoden and his army, this was their way of confronting their greatest fear, death itself. By conquering their fear of death, they were able to attain their greatest victory, while their prideful foe melted away in terror before their mighty hooves. This theme can be found even in our recent history. When America was founded, it was primarily wilderness and full of hostile tribes. Early settlers came here knowing they lacked the money and resources to make it in America. Many had to sell themselves to indentured servitude to have a chance in this foreign land. Those that did had to brave the seas just so they could arrive in a country that was largely undeveloped. They would have to build their own homes and produce their own food. They could no longer rely on the convenience of European civilization. They were masters of their own destiny, with nothing but their faith in God and their unrealized potential to see this through. There was no guarantee of success, and the risk of failure was all too likely. Many of their European peers doubted their prospects. But fast forward to today, America is now the most powerful and prosperous civilization in history. If there's a takeaway to this penguin story, it is this. Our goals and dreams require us to make sacrifices. The higher our calling, the greater the sacrifice. But our fear of pain and suffering prevents us from growing towards our true potential. We appeal to statistics to rationalize our cowardice by looking for evidence that it is too risky, that it is statistically safer to stick with what is familiar. But familiarity becomes a crutch hindering our growth. Our overanalyzing paralyzes us from taking action while our lives pass us by. We fill our brains with easy dopamine to numb the pain of stagnation, the pain of realizing we fail to live up to our own expectations. To grow beyond our mediocrity requires an encounter with the unknown. It means accepting the possibility of failure and disappointment. But even if you encounter failure, these are opportunities for growth. Remind yourself that every time you leave your comfort zone, that is a victory. A victory that most people fail to achieve since most seek comfort above all else. But such complacent appeals to comfort leave us no better off than animals that exist only for sustenance. For this willingness to defy our baser instincts and seek transcendence makes us more than animals but human. Alas, these are just my observations and opinions. If you find this video interesting, please like and share this video. You can check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel for more content in the future. Thanks for your support. Take care.